Marvel's Kull the Conqueror Volume 2 Number 1 hit store shelves and spinner racks in December of 1982. The same month, Time magazine named The Computer as Person of the Year, and the Hall & Oates song Man-Eater was number 1 in the music charts. After earthquakes strike Valusia, its king, Kull, decides to rebuild the city as a shining empire. A series of dreadful occurrences unfold when Kull, despite warnings, breaks through a catacomb discovered buried under the city for centuries. Madness, treachery, and war converge upon the kingdom and pushes Kull to the brink. Only an ancient ritual performed within the cursed catacombs can save the city, but will it cost Kull his life? This story was written by Alan Zenowitz, film producer and comic book writer, best known for co-creating the series Alien Legion for Marvel's Epic Comics. Zenowitz was a high school principal who quit his job to work at Marvel. Starting out as a proofreader, he moved on to write for Thor, Conan the Barbarian, and Moon Knight. Zenowitz had plenty of history adapting Kull and Conan creators Robert E. Howard's writing, as Zenowitz was the main author and researcher for Marvel's official handbook of the Conan universe, a guide to the Hyborian Age, the fictional setting of the Conan the Barbarian stories. John Buscema created the art for this issue. Born in Brooklyn, Buscema showed an interest in drawing at an early age, copying comic strips such as Popeye. He eventually found work in 1948 under editor-in-chief and art director Stan Lee at Timely Comics. After a long career drawing and developing many superheroes, Buscema shifted gears in order to spearhead art duties on all 3 Conan titles. He then moved on to this revival of the Conan series for 10 issues. After penciling Conan the Destroyer movie adaptation in 1984 and the Conan of the Isles graphic novels in 1987, he left Conan the Barbarian in 1987, ending a 14-year association with the character. Inker Danny Bellinati started his career at Marvel inking artists like Pat Broderick, Gil Kane, and Butch Juice on the Micronauts series. He then moved on to the Fantastic Four and Captain America. He also designed the costumes for the various Atlantic Universe characters, including the famous Captain Canada. Marie Severin was the colorist on this issue. Severin was the inker on the first Kull series along with her brother John in 1971. Back in 1959, while Severin was at Marvel, her illustrations led Marvel editor-in-chief Stan Lee to assign her to the feature Doctor Strange in Strange Tales. Severin co-created Spider-Woman, designing her original costume, as well as Howard the Duck villain Dr. Bong in 1977. Letterer Janice Chiang began her career freelancing for Marvel Comics. For most of the 80s and part of the 90s, she kept extremely busy, often lettering up to 10 books a month. Dennis O'Neil was the editor on this issue. O'Neil is a writer and editor for both Marvel and DC from the 60s through the 90s. He's a legend in the industry. Check out my other video where I cover O'Neil in greater detail. The character Kull was created by writer Robert E. Howard, who found fame with his subsequent creation Conan the Barbarian. Kull was adapted by Marvel for the first time in 1971 and ran for over 2 years. The second series lasted only 2 issues. This story and its follow-up, The Blood of Kings. It was then followed 2 months later by Kull the Conqueror Volume 3 series. That series had an irregular publishing schedule with month-long gaps between issues. It lasted for a total of 11 issues. Kull also appeared several times in the Savage Sword of Conan series and other anthology books. Another graphic novel, Kull, The Veil of Shadow, was published in 1989. Author Robert E. Howard was born in Texas in 1906, the only child of a traveling country doctor and a housewife. He showed a keen interest in reading and writing at a young age, and soon began to submit various stories to the popular pulp magazines at the time, like Weird Tales. A Kull story was one of the earliest published, but it never managed to gain a large following, unlike his other characters, Conan the Barbarian and Solomon Kane. Howard died at the young age of 30 from a self-inflicted gunshot wound in 1936. Did you know Kull was one of the characters featured in the series of Marvel value stamps issued in the 1970s? Although not an incredibly popular character, Kull has appeared in several other comic series and one-shots. He appeared in 78 Conan-related issues. Others include The Tomb of Dracula, Bizarre Adventures, Marvel Team-Up, X-Men Annual, and Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme. Kull's glorious return after almost a decade away is full of action, intrigue, magic, and, well, words. Don't let the bag, board, and Marvel logo fool you. This double-sized issue is wordy, harkening back to the days of pulp magazine short stories from the very writer who created Kull, Robert E. Howard. That aside, the story reads like a Shakespearean epic with tales of betrayal, curses, and politics in the fantasy realm of Valusia. Alan Zelenitz, a noted expert in the writings of Howard, crafts a tale of redemption for our hero, even if his downfall was of his own making. Zelenitz's writing makes us want to root for Kull and the people of Valusia to overcome the various cataclysms that befall them. Kull is portrayed as a more tempered king than Howard's other creation, Conan the Barbarian. He is often portrayed deep in thought and driven to purpose in an effort to prove himself to his people. John Buscema's work is excellent in this issue. At this point in his career, he had moved on from Capes and Tights and was working solely on Conan or Conan-related titles. Marie Severin, who had penciled the original Kull in the 1970s, returns to this series as colorist on this issue. She creates a vibrant and colorful world with hues of green, purple, red, and blue. While not typically a series I'd read, I picked up this issue in a large lot sale recently, and I am really glad I chose to deep dive into it. Mint issues are selling for as high as $75 according to PriceCharting.com. I am seeing an issue of unknown quality selling for $3.99 on eBay and $5.30 at Midtown Comics. Distribution numbers are hard to find for 1982 specifically. I did manage to find figures for both 1981 and 82 combined, which totaled 7.83 million issues between a very select few publishers, mainly Marvel and DC. The top 5 selling comics in those years were Mad Magazine, X-Men, Amazing Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, and The Avengers. Kull didn't make the list, but 3 Conan titles did: Conan the Barbarian, King Conan, and Savage Sword of Conan. 1982 saw the beginning of Marvel making changes to their distribution deals by offering publications exclusively to the non-returnable direct sales comic store market as opposed to newsstands. Marvel first tested this distribution change on the X-Men themed Dazzler #1 in 1981. The result was sales of over 400,000 copies from fans and collectible speculators, a 50% increase than the average sales of an X-Men comic. Marvel saw green in their eyes and began to roll this out in 1982, and while this would eventually lead to the comic book crash of 1996, there was no stopping the train now. 3 specific titles, Khazar, Micronauts, and Moon Knight, followed Dazzler's route and were dropped from newsstands in favor of exclusive distribution to comic stores. Though they sold well generally, newsstands had the option to return or destroy the unsold comics for credit. Comic distributors did not, guaranteeing increased revenue for Marvel. Jim Shooter entered his 4th year as Marvel editor-in-chief in 1982, and with it came the rapidly evolving direct market. Shooter was also instrumental in helping creators get more royalties at that time. Shooter began the Epics comic imprint for creator-owned material and introduced company-wide crossover story arcs with Contest of Champions. This week I wanted to find a comic shop as close to Kull creator Robert E. Howard's birthplace of Peaster, Texas. Located less than 10 miles away in the city of Weatherford is Session Zero Comic Books and Games. If you're in the area, be sure to check them out at 109 North Main Street in Weatherford, or check out their Instagram page. Simply look up Session Zero Games. Thanks for checking out this video. If you want to see more, please hit like and subscribe. If you have suggestions for comics you want me to deep dive into, please leave a comment below. Please help and support real artists. AI is great for a lot of things, but not for creating art and replacing artists. Thank you.